The bass thrummed through my chest as I balanced another tray of drinks. Weaving through the crowd at Velvet Nights. 3 months I'd been working here, 3 months since I'd fled across state lines with nothing but a duffel bag and the clothes on my back, 3 months since I'd left Derek and his fists and his promises that always turned to poison. I thought I was safe. I thought wrong. The text had come 2 days ago. Found you, Anna. You can't hide from me. Then the flowers at my apartment door, the missed calls from unknown numbers, the shadow I'd seen across the street when I left for work yesterday. Derek was here, in Seattle, and he wasn't going to let me go, not without a fight I couldn't win. I'd gone to the police that morning, my hands shaking as I showed them the messages, explained the 3 years of hell I'd survived. The officer had been kind but firm. No prior reports, no criminal record, no evidence of immediate danger. Derek's father was Judge Morrison, and that name carried weight even here, hundreds of miles from home. File a report, they'd said. If he contacts you again, call us. As if a piece of paper would stop him, as if anything ever had. I delivered the drinks to table 7, forcing my smile to stay in place even though my mind was screaming. The club was packed tonight, bodies moving to music that felt too loud, too bright. I needed this job, I needed the money. But more than that, I needed a way out that didn't end with me in a hospital bed, or worse. That's when I saw him. William Davis sat in the VIP section, his presence commanding attention without demanding it. He came here sometimes, always flanked by men in expensive suits, always radiating the kind of danger that made smart people look away. I'd heard the whispers from the other waitresses. Mafia, ruthless, untouchable, the kind of man who solved problems permanently. My hands trembled as I gripped the empty tray. This was insane. I knew it was insane. But desperation had a way of making the impossible seem reasonable. I'd grown up in St. Mary's Orphanage until I was 6, then bounced through 4 foster homes before aging out of the system at 18. I had exactly 3 friends from those years, scattered across the country now, trying to survive just like me. I had no family, no one to call, no one to protect me, except maybe him. I took a breath and walked toward the VIP section. The bouncer at the rope, a mountain of a man named Cole, stepped in front of me. Staff isn't allowed in VIP tonight, he said, his voice not unkind. I need to speak with Mr. Davis. My voice came out steadier than I felt. Please, it's important. Cole's eyes narrowed, but something in my expression must have convinced him. He pulled out a radio, murmured something I couldn't hear, then nodded. 2 minutes. Don't waste his time. The rope lifted. I walked through on legs that felt like water. William Davis looked up as I approached, his dark eyes assessing me with the precision of a predator calculating whether prey was worth the chase. He was younger than I'd expected, maybe early 30s, with sharp features and black hair styled back from his face. He wore a charcoal suit that probably cost more than 6 months of my rent. You're the new waitress, he said. Not a question. His voice was smooth, controlled, with an edge that suggested violence was always an option. Anna Smith. The fact that he knew my name sent ice down my spine. Hey, before I continue with what happens next, if you're enjoying this story, please hit that like button and drop a comment below, letting me know what you think. And don't forget to subscribe to the channel. It really helps us bring you more stories like this one. Your support means everything to us, and it keeps us creating content for you. Yes, Mr. Davis. You have 2 minutes to explain why you've interrupted my evening. The men around him watched me with varying degrees of curiosity and hostility. I focused on William, on the cold intelligence in his eyes, and made my choice. I need someone killed, I said quietly, and I'm willing to pay everything I have. Silence fell over the table. One of the men laughed, the sound sharp and mocking, but William held up a hand. The laughter stopped. Continue, he said. My throat felt tight, but I forced the words out. My ex-boyfriend, Derek Morrison. He's been stalking me, threatening me. I have messages, evidence, but his father is a judge and the police won't help. He's going to kill me if someone doesn't stop him first. And you came to me. I heard things about what you do, who you are. I swallowed hard. I have $8,000 saved. It's everything I have. I'll give you all of it. I'll do whatever you want. I just need him gone. William studied me for a long moment, his expression unreadable. Then he stood, his height forcing me to tilt my head back to maintain eye contact. Come with me. He walked toward a private room at the back of the VIP section, and I followed, my heart hammering so hard I could hear it over the music. The door closed behind us, muffling the noise to a distant pulse. Sit, William said, gesturing to a leather sofa. I sat. He remained standing, hands in his pockets, regarding me with that same calculating stare. $8,000 is nothing, he said finally. You couldn't afford my services with 10 times that amount. My stomach dropped. Please, However, he interrupted, I'm not interested in your money. Hope and fear warred in my chest. Then what do you want? He moved closer, close enough that I had to crane my neck to look at him. You remind me of someone I lost a long time ago. The resemblance is remarkable. I didn't know what to say to that, so I said nothing. I have a proposition for you, Anna Smith. I will handle your problem with Derek Morrison. I will ensure he never touches you, never threatens you, never comes near you again. In exchange, you will work for me. Work for you how? You'll live in my estate. You'll be under my protection, part of my organization. And when necessary, you'll act as my girlfriend in front of my family. I blinked, certain I'd misheard. Your girlfriend? My mother has certain expectations about my personal life, expectations I've grown tired of managing. You'll help me satisfy those expectations. His eyes held mine. This is not negotiable. You accept these terms or you walk out that door and solve your own problems. A fake girlfriend for the Mafia boss in exchange for protection from Derek. It sounded like something out of a bad novel, except it was my only option that didn't end with me dead or running for the rest of my life. How long? I asked. As long as I require your services. And if I say no? His smile was cold. Then I suggest you learn to run very fast. I thought about Derek's hands around my throat, the broken ribs from the time he'd shoved me down the stairs, the concussion when he'd slammed my head into the wall because I'd smiled at a cashier, 3 years of hell I'd barely survived. I accept, I said. William nodded once. You'll quit your job tonight. My men will collect your belongings from your apartment and move you to the estate tomorrow morning. Until then, you'll stay in a hotel under protection. That fast? Derek Morrison made his first mistake when he followed you here. He'll make his last when he tries to contact you again. William pulled out his phone and typed something. Cole will take you to the hotel. Don't leave the room. Don't call anyone. Don't do anything stupid. Okay. I stood, my legs shaky but holding. Thank you. Don't thank me yet. His voice stopped me at the door. Understand something, Anna. You belong to me now. You follow my rules. You do as you're told. And you never lie to me. Break any of these conditions and the protection ends. Are we clear? The weight of what I'd just agreed to settled over me like a shroud. I'd traded one cage for another, one dangerous man for another. But at least this time, the danger wasn't pointed at me. Crystal clear, I said. That night, I lay in a hotel room that probably cost more than my monthly rent, staring at the ceiling while 2 of William's men stood guard outside. My phone buzzed with messages from Derek, each one more threatening than the last. I know you're here. You can't hide forever. When I find you, you'll regret ever leaving me. I turned the phone off and closed my eyes, wondering what I'd just set in motion. The next morning, a knock on the door woke me at 8. A woman stood in the hallway, tall and elegant in a tailored pantsuit, her blonde hair pulled back in a severe bun. Miss Smith, I'm Helena. I work for Mr. Davis. I'm here to take you shopping before we go to the estate. Shopping? Helena's smile was polite but firm. Mr. Davis has specific expectations for your appearance. Your current wardrobe won't suffice. 2 hours later, I stood in a boutique dressing room surrounded by clothes that cost more than my car while Helena directed the sales staff with military precision. Dresses, suits, casual wear, shoes, accessories, everything designed to transform me from a struggling waitress into someone who could believably date a man like William Davis. This is too much, I protested as another armful of clothes was added to the growing pile. Mr. Davis was quite clear in his instructions, Helena said. You represent him now. You need to look the part. By noon, we were driving through Seattle's wealthiest neighborhood, past gates and walls and manicured lawns until we turned into an estate that made everything else look modest. The house was a sprawling modern masterpiece of glass and stone surrounded by gardens and fountains with a view of the mountains that took my breath away. Welcome home, Helena said as the car stopped at the front entrance. Home. The word felt foreign. Inside, the house was even more impressive. High ceilings, marble floors, artwork that probably belonged in museums. A housekeeper named Rosa showed me to my room on the second floor, a suite larger than my entire apartment with a king-sized bed, a sitting area, and windows overlooking the gardens. Mr. Davis will see you for dinner at 7, Rosa said in accented English. He dresses for dinner. Helena will help you prepare. Alone, I sank onto the bed and tried to process the last 24 hours. Yesterday, I'd been a waitress terrified of my example. Today, I was living in a mansion, wearing designer clothes, waiting to have dinner with a mafia boss who'd agreed to kill for me in exchange for playing pretend. The absurdity of it should have made me laugh. Instead, I felt numb. At 6:30, Helena returned to help me dress in a navy cocktail dress and heels that made me 3 inches taller. She did my makeup with expert precision, styled my dark hair into soft waves, and stepped back to examine her work. Perfect, she declared. Mr. Davis will be pleased. I followed her downstairs to a formal dining room where a table was set for 2. William was already there, dressed in dark slacks and a white shirt with the sleeves rolled up, revealing forearms corded with muscle. He looked up when I entered, and for a moment, something flickered in his eyes. Recognition, maybe, or memory? Sit, he said, gesturing to the chair across from him. I sat. Staff appeared with wine and the first course, some kind of soup I couldn't name. We ate in silence for several minutes before William spoke. Tell me about Derek Morrison. The question caught me off guard. What do you want to know? Everything. How you met, how long you were together, what he did to you. I set down my spoon, my appetite gone. We met 4 years ago at a coffee shop. He seemed nice at first, charming, attentive. We dated for 6 months before I moved in with him. When did it start? The abuse? I forced myself to meet William's gaze. A month after I moved in. Small things at first, controlling what I wore, who I talked to. Then it escalated. He'd get angry over nothing and then apologize after, promise it would never happen again. It always happened again. Why didn't you leave? The question everyone asked. The question that made you feel stupid and weak and ashamed. I had nowhere to go. No family, no money of my own because he controlled the finances. And he told me no one would believe me, that his father would make sure I looked crazy if I ever tried to report him. I picked up my wine glass with shaking hands. He was right about that part. William's expression didn't change, but something dark moved behind his eyes. How did you finally get away? 3 months ago, he put me in the hospital, cracked ribs, concussion. He told the doctors I fell down the stairs. They knew he was lying, but they couldn't prove anything. When he left my room, one of the nurses slipped me the number for a women's shelter. I called them, and they helped me disappear, got me a bus ticket, helped me set up in Seattle. I drained the wine. I thought I was safe. I should have known better. You should have, William agreed, his voice cold. Men like Derek Morrison don't give up their possessions easily. The word possessions made me flinch, but he wasn't wrong. That's exactly how Derek saw me. Where is he now? I asked. Being dealt with. William cut into his steak with precise movements. By morning, Derek Morrison will no longer be your concern. You're going to kill him. I'm going to ensure he understands that you are under my protection now. What happens after that depends on his intelligence and survival instincts. I should have felt relief. Instead, I felt hollow. And what about his father? Judge Morrison won't just let this go. Judge Morrison will be strongly encouraged to focus his attention elsewhere. I have considerable influence, even over the judiciary. William's smile was sharp. One of the benefits of my profession. Dinner continued in relative silence, though I could feel William watching me, studying me like I was a puzzle he was trying to solve. You said I remind you of someone, I said finally. Who? For the first time since I'd met him, William's controlled expression cracked. Pain flashed across his features, quickly suppressed but unmistakable. Her name was Sarah. We grew up together in the same neighborhood before my family's circumstances changed. She was kind, optimistic, always saw the best in people even when they didn't deserve it. He paused. She died when we were 18. Leukemia. I was with her at the end. I'm sorry, I said, meaning it. You have her eyes, her smile, the same way of tilting your head when you're thinking. He stood abruptly. Finish your dinner. Tomorrow, you'll meet my parents. We'll establish the parameters of our arrangement. He left the dining room, and I sat alone with half-eaten food and the weight of a dead girl's ghost on my shoulders. The next 3 days passed in a blur of preparation. Helena coached me on the Davis family history, William's business interests, the legitimate ones, at least, and how to behave at formal events. Rosa taught me William's preferences, how he took his coffee, his schedule, his moods. William himself was absent most of the time, dealing with what Helena delicately referred to as business matters. When he was home, he was distant, speaking to me only when necessary, always watching me with that unsettling intensity. On the 4th day, as I was reading in the library, William appeared in the doorway. It's done, he said. I looked up from my book. Derek? Decided to return to his home state. Permanently. He won't be bothering you again. Relief crashed over me so hard I had to grip the armrest to stay steady. Is he alive, if that's what you're asking? Broken in ways that won't show in x-rays, but alive. William moved into the room. His father has been advised that pursuing any kind of investigation or retaliation would be inadvisable for his career and health. Thank you, I whispered. Don't thank me. You paid for a service, and I delivered. But his voice softened slightly. You're safe now, Anna. That part of your life is over. Tears burned behind my eyes, but I blinked them back. I'd cried enough over Derek Morrison. I wouldn't give him any more. My parents are coming for dinner tonight, William continued. They're expecting to meet my girlfriend. Can you handle that? I stood, squaring my shoulders. Yes. Good. Helena has selected an appropriate dress. We eat at 7. He started to leave, then paused. Anna? Yes? You're stronger than you think you are. Remember that. Catherine and Thomas Davis arrived at 6:30, and I understood immediately where William got his presents. Catherine was elegant and sharp-eyed, her silver hair styled perfectly, her designer dress understated but expensive. Thomas was tall and commanding, with William's same dark eyes and controlled demeanor. Mother, father. William greeted them in the foyer, his hand settling possessively on my lower back. I'd like you to meet Anna Smith, my girlfriend. Catherine's eyes assessed me with the precision of a jeweler evaluating a stone. How lovely to finally meet you, dear. William has been so secretive about his personal life. It's wonderful to meet you both, I said, channeling every lesson Helena had drilled into me. William speaks of you often. We moved to the sitting room, where staff served cocktails and appetizers. I perched on the sofa next to William, hyper-aware of his proximity, the weight of his arm along the back of the cushions behind me. So, Anna, Thomas said, tell us about yourself. Where are you from? The question I'd been dreading. I grew up in foster care, actually. Moved around quite a bit before settling in Seattle. Catherine's expression softened marginally. That must have been difficult. It taught me to be resilient, I said, which was true enough. And how did you meet our son? William's hand dropped to my shoulder, his touch warm through the thin fabric of my dress. At Velvet Nights, Anna was working there when I happened to notice her. Something about her. I couldn't look away. The lie came so smoothly from his lips that I almost believed it myself. Love at first sight? Catherine smiled. How romantic. Something like that, William said, his eyes meeting mine. Anna is remarkable, strong, intelligent, resilient. Everything I could want. The praise felt genuine, which made it more unsettling. This was an act, I reminded myself, a performance for his parents. Dinner was an exercise in careful conversation. Catherine asked about my interests, my plans for the future. Thomas discussed business with William, occasionally including me with questions that tested whether I understood the legitimate side of the Davis Empire. I answered carefully, using the information Helena had provided, aware that one wrong word could shatter the illusion. "You're good for him," Catherine said, as dessert was served, speaking directly to me while William was distracted by his father. "I haven't seen William this settled in years, not since Sarah," I finished quietly. Catherine's eyes widened. "He told you about Sarah?" "A little." "And then he must care for you very much. William never speaks of her." Catherine reached across the table to squeeze my hand. "Welcome to the family, Anna." Guilt twisted in my stomach. These people seemed kind, and I was lying to them. But I smiled and thanked her, because that was the role I'd agreed to play. After his parents left, William walked me upstairs to my room. We stood in the hallway outside my door, the space between us charged with something I couldn't name. "You did well tonight," he said. "My mother likes you. She seems lovely." "She is, which is why I don't want her hurt when this arrangement ends." The reminder that this was temporary shouldn't have stung, but it did. Of course. William studied me in the dim hallway light. "Are you settling in? Do you need anything?" "I'm fine, more than fine. This is..." I gestured at the opulent surroundings. "More than I ever expected. You deserve safety, stability, things you've never had." His hand lifted, hesitated, then gently touched my cheek. "You look so much like her. Sometimes I forget you're not." "I'm sorry I can't be her." "Don't be. You're not a replacement, Anna. You're..." He dropped his hand, stepping back. "Get some rest. We have a charity gala this weekend. You'll need to be prepared." He left me standing in the hallway, my cheek still warm from his touch. The weeks that followed fell into a strange rhythm. William and I attended social events together, playing the role of devoted couple. At home, we maintained a careful distance, polite but not close. He worked long hours, often coming home late, smelling of expensive cologne and sometimes blood. I didn't ask about his business. I didn't want to know the details of what he did, the people he hurt, the lines he crossed. I lived in willful ignorance, grateful for the safety he provided. But slowly, something shifted. It started small. William began joining me for breakfast instead of eating in his office. We'd sit across from each other with coffee and newspapers, occasionally commenting on articles or sharing observations. He asked about my day, what I'd read, what I thought about things. And he listened, really listened, in a way Derek never had. One evening, I found him in the library where I'd been spending my afternoons. He handed me a book, a first edition of Pride and Prejudice. "Helena mentioned you liked classics," he said. I ran my fingers over the leather binding, stunned. "This is too much." "It's a book, Anna. Accept it." But it wasn't just a book. It was attention, consideration, the acknowledgement that I existed beyond my usefulness to him. Another night, I woke to screaming and found William in the hallway outside my room, his face twisted in anguish. I touched his shoulder, and he jerked awake, his hand automatically reaching for the gun I knew he kept close. "It's me," I said softly. "You were having a nightmare." He stared at me, breathing hard, then slowly lowered his hand. "Sarah. I was dreaming about Sarah." "Come on." I led him to the sitting area in my suite and made him sit while I got water from the bathroom. When I returned, he was leaning forward, elbows on his knees, head in his hands. "I watched her die," he said to the floor, "watched her waste away until there was nothing left. I couldn't save her, couldn't do anything but hold her hand and lie that it would be okay." I sat beside him, close but not touching. "How old were you?" 18. Old enough to understand death, young enough to think I could fight it. He looked up, his eyes red. My father had just started making real money, getting involved in things that would eventually build this empire. I begged him to use it, to find the best doctors, experimental treatments, anything. But Sarah's family had no money, and she refused to take charity. She died in a county hospital with cheap flowers and flickering fluorescent lights. I'm sorry, I said, the words inadequate. That's when I understood. Money is power, power is survival, and weakness. He shook his head. Weakness gets you killed or worse. Is that why you do what you do? I do what I do because I'm good at it. Because in this world, there are predators and prey, and I decided which I'd rather be. His eyes found mine. Like you did when you came to me that night. I was desperate. Desperation makes us honest. You didn't pretend to be brave or strong, you just wanted to survive. He reached out, his fingers brushing my jaw. You remind me that survival isn't weakness. It's the most human thing there is. We sat in silence, his hand still touching my face until, finally, he stood. Thank you, he said, for not treating me like a monster. You're not a monster, William. You're just a man who's seen too much darkness. After that night, the walls between us began to crumble. William started seeking me out, and we'd talk for hours. He showed me art collections, private concerts, gardens at midnight under impossibly bright stars. I began to see the man beneath the reputation. Dangerous, yes, but also thoughtful, surprisingly funny, and fiercely protective. One afternoon, I found him staring at a photograph of a young woman with kind eyes. Sarah? I asked. He nodded. I used to look at this every day. Lately, I've been forgetting. That's not a bad thing, William. It means you're healing. Or replacing her. He turned to face me. When I asked you to stay, it was because you looked like her. A ghost I could keep close. And now? Now I see you, Anna Smith. Not the girl I lost. Not a replacement. Just you. He crossed the room. And that terrifies me more than anything I've ever faced. My heart hammered. Why? Because I've built my life on control. On keeping people at a distance where they can't hurt me, and you... His hand cupped my cheek. You make me want to break every rule I've ever made. William. He kissed me, gentle and reverent. I melted into him, my hands finding his chest, feeling his heart race beneath my palms. When we finally broke apart, he rested his forehead against mine. This wasn't supposed to happen, he said. No, I agreed. It wasn't. We should stop, go back to the arrangement. We should. Neither of us moved. Anna, I need you to understand something. William's voice was rough. I'm not a good man. I've done things that would make you run screaming. I have enemies who would hurt you to get to me. Getting involved with me, really involved, means accepting all of that. I know who you are, William, what you are, and I'm still here. Why? Because you make me feel safe, because you see me, not as damaged or broken, but as strong, because when I'm with you, I don't feel like I'm just surviving anymore. I feel alive. His arms wrapped around me. I can't promise you normal. I can't promise you safe, not completely, but I can promise that I will protect you with everything I have, that I will never raise a hand to you in anger, that you will always have a choice with me. That's more than I've ever had, I whispered. The next few months transformed everything. What started as a business arrangement became real. William introduced me to his business empire, asked my opinion on deals. But I also saw the darker side, the late-night calls, the dangerous meetings, the nights he came home with blood on his hands. I learned not to ask questions. I learned to trust. William would tell me what I needed to know. And I learned that loving a man like him meant accepting all of him, even the parts that scared me. One night, 6 months in, William called me to his study. Sit down, Anna. We need to talk. My stomach dropped. This was it. The arrangement was ending. I want to make this real, he said. No more pretending for my parents, no more fake relationship. I want you to be mine, truly. Relief and joy flooded through me. Yes, God, yes. He pulled me into his arms, kissing me deeply. There's something else. Something I need to tell you before we go any further. His serious tone made me pull back. What is it? Derek Morrison. I told you he was alive, that I'd just encouraged him to leave you alone. William's eyes held mine steadily. He's dead, Anna, has been since the second day you were here. I killed him myself. I should have been horrified. Instead, I felt nothing but dark, twisted relief. You killed him, I repeated. Yes. He was a threat to you, and I eliminate threats. William searched my face. I'm telling you this because I won't lie to you, not about who I am or what I've done. If you want to leave, I'll make sure you're taken care of, but I won't pretend to be someone I'm not. I thought about Derek, about 3 years of torture and pain, about the man in front of me who had ended all of that, who had given me safety and freedom and a life I'd never imagined possible. I'm not leaving, I said. Derek made his choices and they led him to you. I won't mourn him. I won't judge you for doing what needed to be done. William's expression shifted, something like wonder crossing his features. You never stop surprising me, Anna Smith. Good. I'd hate to be predictable. I moved closer. I love you, William Davis. All of you. Even the dark parts. Especially the dark parts, because they're what keep me safe. I love you too, he said. More than I thought I could love anyone after Sarah. You brought me back to life, Anna. Made me feel things I thought I'd buried forever. We kissed, and it felt like a promise. Like a future I'd never dared to dream of. That night, as I lay in William's arms, I thought about the journey that had brought me here. From an orphanage to foster care, to Derek's prison, to a nightclub, to this moment. Every terrible thing, every moment of pain and fear had led me exactly where I needed to be. What are you thinking? William murmured. That I tried to run from my ex and ended up belonging to the Mafia. He chuckled. Technically, you belong to me. The Mafia is just a bonus. Lucky me. But I smiled as I said it, because I meant it. Against all odds, I'd found home in the arms of a dangerous man. Found safety with someone the world called a monster. Found love in the last place I'd ever thought to look. Lucky us, William corrected, pulling me closer, because I tried to hire a fake girlfriend and ended up falling in love. Outside the window, Seattle glittered under stars. Inside this room, in this man's arms, I finally felt something I'd been chasing my entire life. Peace. The road ahead wouldn't be easy. William's world was dangerous, unpredictable, full of enemies and threats. But we'd face it together. The orphan girl who'd survived everything thrown at her and the Mafia boss who'd learned to love again. I'd come to him desperate and afraid, offering everything I had for protection. In return, he'd given me the world. Not a bad trade, all things considered.